Okay, what is up there, YouTube? This is J-Man Time, and today I have yet another video on yet another almost forgotten or unnoticed Air Force from the continent of Africa. And in today's video, we're going to cover an Air Force that is barely existent, but has technically existed since the year of 2010. That is the Air Force detachment of the Puntland National Maritime Police Force, also known as the PMPF. Now, Puntland is an almost unrecognized autonomous state or separatist state that exists within Somalia and has been around since the 1990s. Now, Puntland has its own separate armed forces known as the Puntland Maritime Police Force, which operates separately from the Somali military or Somalian armed forces. And since the year of 2010, the Puntland Maritime Police Force has been slowly building their own independent Air Force or Air Defense Force. This Air Defense Force is mostly made up of second-hand aircraft that were purchased from a variety of countries over the years since the 2010s. In today's video, I'm going to go over the aircraft that make up the Puntland Air Defense Force detachment of the Puntland Maritime Police Force. Now, the first aircraft on the list is the American-made Ayres S2R Thrush, model 510G. These are American turboprop-powered aircraft that were manufactured between 1983 and 1985. In fact, newer variants have been manufactured since the 1980s, and there's even another version that has recently come out in the year of 2023. The variant used by the Puntland Maritime Police Force were formerly used by the American U.S. State Department and were manufactured in 1983 and 1985. Now, back in the year between the years of 2011 and 2013, Puntland received 3 of these aircraft from the United States. These air thrust aircraft were originally designed as agricultural aircraft, but in the 1970s and 80s, the U.S. Armed Forces began using modified versions as coin aircraft or as surveillance aircraft. Now, Puntland currently uses 3 of these as both a surveillance aircraft, coin aircraft, and as light ground attack aircraft. But there is no list of weapons or bombs that are currently being used by the Puntland Maritime Force on these aircraft. What is known is that the Ayres Thrust Model 510 can carry up to 3,280 pounds or 1,490 kilograms worth of equipment or weapon systems, the modified versions in it, but it is unknown if this is a modified version or a basic version. These aircraft have a maximum speed of 230 kilometers per hour or 140 miles per hour, a maximum flight ceiling of 15,000 feet or 4,600 meters, and have a crew of 1. And again, Puntland has 3 of these aircraft. Now, these aircraft have been recently used in the war against ISIS. Since the 2010s, the Islamic State has launched an insurgency in both Soomaaliya and the Puntland region. So the Puntland Maritime Defense Force has been using these aircraft to attack ISIS positions in their region. The American-made Ayres S2R Thrush model 510G from the 1980s. The next aircraft to serve in Puntland or the Puntland Maritime Defense Force is the French-made Aérospatiale Alouette III. These are light utility reconnaissance helicopters that were manufactured back in the 1960s, 1961 to now. In the early 2010s, the nation of Puntland purchased 2 of these aircraft from South Africa. These aircraft had previously served in the South African Air Force over 44 years before being decommissioned in the early 2000s. These aircraft were later refurbished and given to Puntland and have been serving in the Puntland Maritime Protection/Defense Force since 2010. These aircraft have a maximum speed of 210 kilometers per hour or 130 miles per hour, an operational range of 540 kilometers, and a maximum combat ceiling of 3,200 meters or 10,500 feet, and they have a crew capacity of 2 and can carry up to 5 passengers or soldiers. These helicopters are mostly used as light transport helicopters, but also used as light gunships, as some of them have been fitted with light machine guns. And the Puntland Armed Forces have been using these helicopters recently recently to fight the Islamic State terrorist insurgency operating in the autonomous region of Puntland. Since the early 2010s, the French-made Aérospatiale Alouette III light utility and reconnaissance helicopter. These helicopters are also famous for being used by South Africa and Rhodesia during the Bush War of the 1970s and 80s. And finally, the newest aircraft to enter service in the Puntland Maritime Police Force is the French-made Aérospatiale AS350 B3. This is a single light utility reconnaissance helicopter that was originally manufactured back in the 1970s and 80s, but was refurbished and given to Puntland as a gift in early 2025. In fact, this aircraft entered service in late January of 2025 of this year. This aircraft was donated either by the UAE or Kenya, as the identification number on this aircraft, the 5YZ, as listed as previously being stationed in both Kenya and the UAE. But whichever nation donated this helicopter gave this helicopter to Puntland during their ongoing fight against the Islamic State insurgency in Puntland. This helicopter has a maximum speed of 245 kilometers per hour or 152 miles per hour, has a maximum combat range of 662 kilometers, and a maximum flight ceiling of 4,600 meters or 15,100 feet, and a crew of either 1 to 2. Now, this helicopter has no armament, meaning that you can only carry light infantry weapons with this helicopter. And this is the newest aircraft to enter service with the Puntland Maritime Police Force as of 2025. And that's really about it. During the ongoing war against ISIS, the Puntland Maritime Police Force has actually captured a number of drones that were used by Islamic State insurgents operating in Puntland. Where these drones came from is unknown, but some of these seem like Western-made drones or Eastern-made drones. Many of these drones have been confiscated. It is unknown if the Puntland Maritime Police Force is planning on using drones in the future, as drone warfare has become very popular since the ongoing war in Ukraine starting back in 2022. But as of 2025, this is it. These are all the aircraft that currently serve in Puntland's Air Defense Detachment of the Puntland Maritime Police Force. Which of these were your favorite? If I had to choose, obviously the Ayres Thrust, agricultural aircraft turned coin aircraft or counterinsurgency aircraft, is my favorite. A crop duster that has been basically modified into a ground attack / ground surveillance aircraft is my favorite on this list. But what do you all think of this? Please tell me in the comment section below. And until next time, this was a J-Man Time signing off.